Welcome back to my channel, guys. So in a few minutes I'm going to be showing you how I made this beautiful kaftan gown with a v-shaped scrubbed neckline. So if you want to have every detail of this dress, make sure you watch till the end of this tutorial. So let's just get started. I'm going to be making use of this organza fabric. You can use any fabric of your choice. Notwithstanding the material, you will still achieve what you want. So this is what I'll be using. I have 2 yards of this fabric, and I also have my Duchess material. This is a Duchess material, and it's just half yard here because it's only going to be used to design the fronts. So guys, the first thing I want to do is to fold my material into four because I'm going to be cutting both the front and the back at the same time. Guys, you need to be careful with this organza. Organza can be very stubborn. If you've worked with organza before, you will know what I'm talking about. Same thing goes for Duchess material. So both organza and Duchess material can be very slippery when you're working with it. So guys, go ahead and fold your fabric into 4 pieces, front and back together. There's no zipper allowance or anything. And I'm not going to be working with any pattern. I'll be using my free hand to do my drafting. I'm working with a length of 37, so I'm adding 2 inches to make it 40 inches. So that is what I am taking right now, which is the length of my gown. So go ahead and just mark it at the up, upper parts of your fabric. This line is going to serve as your shoulder. Divide your shoulder by 2. Whatever you have, just mark it right there. The remaining part is going to be your sleeve because this dress is a cut together sleeve. So I'm using 8 inches for my sleeve length and extra 2 inches for allowance. So here is going to be my allowance. Now I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for my neckline. I'm using 2.5. This is a standard because this dress is going to have a collar, so you don't want your neckline to be too wide at the end of the day. The depth of the neckline I'm using is 9 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark 9 inches. On that very point of 9 inches, you're going to come in by 1 inch. I'll take that again. 2.5 inches by 9 inches deep. Now on that point of 9 inches, you're going to go in by 1 inch. So from this very top, you're going to use your free hand and then connect it all the way in form of a V neck. You connect it down to meet with your 1 inch that you have already marked there. Just like you see me do right now. So guys, I'll be working with my hip measurements because it's a free gown. I am not using my bust measurements. Divide your hips by 4 inches. Whatever you have, you can add about 4 inches to it, add about 3 inches to it, depending on how wide you want it to be. So guys, take out your armhole depth. I'm using 9 inches for my armhole depth. So you can make use of 9 inches, you can use 8 inches. On that very line, that is where you're going to mark your bust measurements. So on my bust points or my bust line, I'm going to be making use of my hip measurements. And I have divided it by 4. I added about 3 inches allowance to my measurements, and then I'm going to connect it all the way to the length of this gown. So go ahead and connect from your armhole all the way to the length of your gown. Now you go ahead and cut out your neckline. Also, you have to separate the front from the back because your back neck, you're going to be using 1 inch for the back neck. The back neck is high and not as deep as the front neck. You only get to do 9 inches depth for your front, but make sure your back neck is a high neck of 1 inch. So guys, At the end of the day, you will just have your normal bodice drafting for your free gown. If you know how to draft a free gown, this is going to be very easy for you. So I'll just go ahead and cut out my front neckline. You can see how I am cutting it. And here is what I have. This is the back neckline, 1 inch deep. So I'll just put this aside. Next thing, I have gone ahead to cut out all my accessories, what I'm going to be using to design the front piece. You saw the picture earlier, so you know I have already cut out the pattern I want to use, and I also cut out lining for them. I'll be using this lining to turn the main fabric over. So guys, just go ahead and cut out any pattern of your choice and then sew it all the way round, and then we'll open it from one angle. This is another pattern I'm going to be using by the side. So this is about 6 inches by 9 to 10 inches thereabouts. So just use your discretion for this very pattern. I'm going to be sewing along this line, just one line. Is either you sew on this line or the other line, just one line for that one. And then here is my collar. This is my collar that is going to go around my neckline. So measure the length of your collar, and that is what you're going to cut out on this very pattern. So mine is about 3.5 inches wide. Of course, I'll be folding it into two just like this. And this is going to serve as my bias for my neckline. And here is my sleeve turn up. I'm going to be using this to turn up my sleeve line. So folded into two, I have about 2.5 inches, and I have it into two. So you're going to cut this out. That will serve as your bias for your neckline. And lastly, I have my fringes. This is going to be the design at the end of the day. So guys, I'll just go ahead and sew this all around, and I'll come back to show you how it looks like. Here we go. I'm done turning the lining to this pattern I have just created. So go ahead and just separate the lining from the main fabric. Cut out a little circle on the lining. So you're going to turn it inside out through that small hole that I just created. So go ahead and turn yours to the other end, and then use a sharp anything sharp to push the edges out. You can give it a very good press, iron it so that it will be smooth. And then here is the second one. I sewed only one line. Remember I said sew only one line, just one line. And then you flip the lining over to the back and just iron it so that you can have something like this. Now, the next thing I want to do now is to get my front piece. This is my front piece of my dress, and I'll put it together with the back. Guys, just watch what I am doing. Put it together with the back. Now you're going to go ahead and sew the shoulder line first. This is the first thing you will sew, the shoulder, and then this other side. Also, you will be folding the down parts of your gown as well, from one end to the other end. Just sew it on a straight line. So guys, at some point I remembered I forgot to put my first design. So what I did was to open it. I actually made a mistake, so I had to open up my shoulder a little bit like you see me do right now. So you're supposed to attach this very first one. Remember the design that you sewed on one side. So you're supposed to place it just like I am placing my own right now. Place it on the same line with your shoulder. So when you are closing your shoulder, you are supposed to close it together with your shoulder line. Just watch what I am doing right now. And then you make sure that the side is also corresponding with the line of your v-neck, like the v-neck line. Make sure that the other side is corresponding together with the pattern that you drafted out. So now I'll just go ahead and join it back. Now this is what I was talking about. This is how it is supposed to look like. So guys, the next thing is to get your collar, and then you're going to start sewing from one end. Remember that 1 inch you cut out at the neckline? So that is where you're going to start from one end. Just arrange it exactly how I am arranging mine right now. Arrange it the from one end of the 1 inch. You're going to take it all round the neck and then end at the other side of the 1 inch. You're not supposed to close up the 1 inch. There's supposed to be a space at the middle. So do this, and then also for the sleeve biasing, you get the bias you cut for the sleeve. You're going to sew from the back. Exactly what I'm doing right now. You're going to sew from the back, sew it on a straight line like so, and then you flip it over to the front. So at the end of the day, you're going to have this black lining at the front of your sleeve. So this is what you're going to have. You repeat the same thing for the other sleeve as well. Sew on this very line and flip to the front, and then you match it on top. So here is what we have. You can see I am done sewing my sleeve bias. This is what I have, and I've also turned my neck, my v-neck. So you can see one v is overlapping on the other one. So make sure you make yours like this. Make sure one is overlapping on the other side of the v. Now use a pin to secure it together. So now I am placing my last pattern slightly on top of my v. I just placed it slightly on top. Make it to cover up with the other patterns you have there, and just go ahead and sew it all the way round. So guys, you can decide to give a different shape to your patterns, not necessarily the same shape I just did right now. So you can try to be creative, give any kind of design or any kind of shape to your v-neck. So guys, I am done with all that and I want to close it now. So just go ahead and take your sleeve divided by 2, and then take your hip measurements, add allowance to it depending on how wide you want it to be. Now take it all the way to the down or to the length of your dress, and then you just go to your machine and close it up. So here I am done closing it up. This is what we have. Our organza v-neck is so ready. And then the next thing and the final thing to do is to attach your fringes. So you can decide to put it like this, and you can also decide to put it like that. I'll prefer this one because it's more visible. So you can use your needle and your thread to attach it to your patterns. You can decide to make yours to be long, you can decide to make it to be short. You can also use an Ankara material for this. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.